right, are you ready?
Okay, so say it to me. I'm ready.
We the people in order to form a more perfect union.
So we've got my beautiful wife, Katie, my oldest, Violet Catherine, middle child there, Ella Molly Walters. Then we've got Benjamin Winston Franklin Walters. And then we've got Samuel Lincoln Joseph Walters with us today.
Establish justice and cure the microtacularity.
Okay, Violet, can you tell me what makes your dad so special? Why?
Because he brings us to Chuck E.
Ben, what makes your daddy a good daddy?
Takes him to the playground.
To the playground.
Provide for the common defense, promote the general affairs, and complete the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
Ella, what makes your daddy a good daddy?
To obey and establish U.S. Constitution for the United States of America.
Good job. Good job, sweetie. You did great. There you go.
Impressive.
She said, "Are you sending this to the news?"
I knew I wanted to be a teacher in high school. I was sitting in a history teacher's class and the stories just came to life and they were really applicable to me. And those individual stories stuck out to me and I had a teacher that just made them relate and connect. Then I'd go to my next class and it was this English teacher that had told these stories and these novels. I loved The Great Gatsby. I loved to read Hemingway. And again, I didn't love all these things till these two teachers really connected me to them. And so I just wanted to do that for young people. And so I can remember being in those classes, hearing those stories, seeing the application, and wanting to do that for young people.
Her aunts would talk about Ryan after school, would come in and tell him about what he learned in school in history class. They'd all sit at the table and listen to Ryan talk to him about his history lessons at school that day. So we've looked back on that and they've laughed about that. They said, we knew then he was going to be a teacher or something. He was even passionate about it then. His history classes, not every class, but his history classes he was.
So I'm gonna have to put a lot of the blame of coming to Harding on my parents, right? My parents from a very early age always showed us, they take us on campus, they'd tell us the stories of what they did here and what they did there. And then as I got older, looking at where I could go to college, just the Christian mission, what went on at Harding. Back when I was in school, Dr. Burks was the president, and there was always kind of the running joke of how much he used the word camaraderie. but there is a camaraderie there. There was a difference there from when I compared it to other universities and what that looked like, what the culture was like on campus. And again, as a Christian, that was the most important thing for me, was really understanding and getting to know God better and understand biblical principles better. And so Harding provided that. Harding provided the culture that I wanted in a higher ed institution. And I ended up having just a great educational experience there as well. Upon graduation, I wanted to be a teacher. I went back home. Now, when I went back home, before I stepped into the classroom, I worked as a rehabilitation specialist for a year, where I went and worked with really troubled kids. After that, I got a job as a high school history teacher in my hometown, McAlester, Oklahoma. So I was a high school history teacher there, and I started by teaching students with special needs with mild to moderate disabilities. I received the award of being the Teacher of the Year for my district, and then I advanced to being a finalist for the State Teacher of the Year. And that process, you get to be interviewed by a few dozen people, and you get to go through this rigorous process, which for me was great. It allowed me to grow, really think through kind of the way I viewed education, the way I viewed that education could be better. So then the State Chamber of Commerce reached out to me about running a nonprofit that was based out of the State Chamber that would be focused on education improvement. So the nonprofit that I work at now is called Every Kid Counts Oklahoma. And the nonprofit really started out of the State Chamber, but we decided to grow it. Instead of just representing the business community, we wanted to represent parents, we wanted to represent teachers. We absolutely want to represent the business community and community leaders from across the state. So what our goal is with Every Kid Counts Oklahoma is to bring together parents, teachers, community leaders, and to have the conversation on what can we all do to improve education. What are some like-minded goals that we can all agree upon and continue to move forward, because we want the best education for our students. So we really think all three perspectives being brought under one tent really provide us with clear solutions moving forward, really provides us with a real consensus on how we can improve the state of education.
So he was named Secretary of Education, it was last year, and he's worked closely with Governor Stitt for a while on different education initiatives, and so it wasn't completely out of the blue, because he had been working with him for a little bit. He's the youngest Secretary of Education in the state's history, which is really neat, and so that was really cool to find that out.
So when I was running for governor in 2018, my daughter was a tennis player from our school in Tulsa, and so I bumped into Ryan. He was a school teacher and tennis coach in McAlester, and so bumped into him at the tennis tournaments, and we kind of struck up a friendship, and his passion for education was apparent from the very beginning. And so once I won governor and we needed a Secretary of Education, I remembered him and got him back into the fold. And whatever your age is, you can tell when people have it. And Ryan certainly has it, and so really age didn't come into the factor for me. I just knew that his heart was all about kids, it's all about outcomes, it's all about becoming top 10 in education, and that's what I look for in all my secretaries. And so he's just a shining example, and Oklahoma is very fortunate to have him as our Secretary of Education.
So I still work as a teacher and serve on the cabinet. And being in a cabinet level role as a teacher, being a teacher was a tremendous preparation for serving on the cabinet. And it's one of those things I joke around with people of, the governor, being in a meeting with him and having him question, what your strategy is and what your solutions are can be pretty intense, can be pretty intimidating. But so is being in front of a room of 30 kids, especially high school kids, right?
I think Ryan's vision qualifies him, and his ability to execute and dream are two rare qualities. Often you have dreamers that can't execute, and you have executors that can't dream, and he has both of those, and they mold well with one another. And so he's able to see the future of what education needs to look like, and then he's able to break that down and create an execution strategy that really impacts teachers and really helps students across the state.
3 words that come to mind, or phrases, when thinking about Ryan. The first would probably have to be professional.
Definitely confident, I would say ambitious, and I would say he's very thoughtful.
I think about commitment, I think about passion, and I think about caring.
Dedication, loving, just a sense of urgency to me about helping others.
Energetic, get it done attitude, quick to laugh, or just a great sense of humor.
The second word would probably have to be honest. He always kept everything honest. He's never gonna lie to you.
That he's a teacher, he's a dreamer, and he's a faithful man of God.
First of all, inspiring. Secondly, I think Ryan is, I don't know if this is in one word or not, but he's someone who always strives for excellence. I mean, he's never satisfied with the status quo. And the third thing is Ryan is fun-loving. I mean, we have shared so many laughs, so many good memories over the years, and I mean, he's someone that you want to partner with in life, because there's going to be a good time. Wherever he's around, it's going to be fun.
I describe him as passionate, determined, and very well dressed.
The last word I'd say is fair. He never treated any student different. He was the same teacher for every student. And I can't remember a single time that he ever had a favorite, which is really hard when you're teaching.
Very kind, very kind. And then of course I would say knowledgeable. He's knowledgeable in everything he does. He's so inspiring because he knows so much about so many things. But at the top of everything is he's a Christian.
I hope that when my kids look back at me, they see a loving and caring husband. I hope they see a dad that loves them dearly. I hope when they look at my career professionally that I always did what I thought was right. Well, I hope they see You know, that Dad made some decisions sometimes that not everybody agreed with, but Dad tried to do what he thought was right. And Dad always tried to do what he thought was right for kids. He cared about me, and he also cared about these other kids across the state.